Welcome back, everybody. We're live in studio. We are continuing the conversations about breast cancer awareness, and this morning I'm going to be speaking with Dr. Sherra Glasgow, and we're going to be speaking about her experience, personal experience with breast cancer and loss as well. Good morning, Dr. Sherra Glasgow.
Hi, good morning. Pleasure to be on this morning.
Thank you for being with us this morning. So the conversation that we're having is a little different from what we have been having for the past few days. And, as we were saying, we had a lot of survivor stories and whatnot, and then we heard from professionals. But yours is a story of loss. Could you tell us about your experience?
So my story is a story of all three levels. I've had loss, I've had survivors, and and I've been on the medical side of everything as well.
Right.
So it was a bit difficult to be able to balance all three. Sometimes you have to switch off being a doctor and switch on just being a daughter and a sister. So, in terms of our experience, first we lost our mom to breast cancer after her very long surviving journey of 15 years
Wow.
after she was first diagnosed. And later on that same year, after she passed in 2017, my sister was diagnosed as well that November with breast cancer. So that was literally, it was like the journey started all over again
Right.
for us.
I know it must have been very trying for your family on the whole, and for your sister and your mom in particular. But tell us, how did you and your family get through that time? I mean, the 15-year battle with your mom, and then followed right after by the battle with your sister as well.
To be quite honest, my mother was always a fighter. Mommy was always a fighter. My mom was one of the people who would go to chemotherapy and go to work afterwards. She was a teacher at Cunupia High School, and she would go to work afterwards. When my sister was diagnosed, she said she was going to do the same thing, and she did. She got up every morning. She went to chemo. When she was finished, for us as family and friends. It was a journey for us as well.
Right.
It was a journey in the sense that here it is, we just lost mommy, but we didn't even have time to grieve of losing mommy because we were right back into the saddle again with my sister. And so for us, we had to be strong for her. That was the most important thing. It
Right.
was a true test of strength for us. We had to know not to cry in front of her. That was the most important thing.
Right.
Even even after she dealt with breast cancer, she had her whole walk, and she showed that she was victorious. Later on that year in 2018, she was then diagnosed with ovarian cancer. So my sister died flying, three flags actually,
Right.
and that was breast, ovarian, and brain cancer as well. And us as family, I remember the night when they told us that it was in the ovaries and they had to do a hysterectomy, etc. I remember driving home and just crying. This is just after I told her she has to be strong. I remember driving home crying. My dad was crying. We were all a mess at that point because we thought we were over this and now we're doing it all over again with her. So that was a true test of strength. But at the end of the day, we all had to remember, what? God is in control. He
Right.
knows what he is doing.
And
And that's literally what she said the morning. She cried the night, and the morning she woke up and she said, you know what? This is all part of my testimony. This is all part of the road that God wants me to walk. And that's exactly what she did. That
and
is exactly what she did.
of course, it is human to to be at that low point and to grieve and to be worried and these things as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Mm-hmm.
takes an immense amount of strength to really go through and to stick together as a family and to go through what you had been through. But
Yeah.
when you put on the doctor's cap, what was your take on it from a doctor's standpoint, being that you're yourself in the medical field, and how has that dynamic affected you in it as well?
Right. So, with respect to, I could speak about mommy first. With mommy, I remember the night before she died. I was speaking to her doctor on the phone, and her doctor said to me, she said, there comes a point, because I was mad, because I said, my mommy would take advice from you all, but she'll never take advice from me, and I'm a doctor too.
Right.
And she told me, she said to me, to Sherra, there comes a point when you have to know that you have to switch off doctor mode and switch on doctor sister mode, and to switch on sorry, not sister, daughter mode. So throughout TJ's journey, I was in sister mode more than anything.
Right.
Obviously, if I saw some discrepancies in what they were doing, I would point it out, because I mean, thank God I'm also a physician, so I
That's
could
right.
say, that what is your, that's not something we accept. And if you're willing to accept it, fine. Which was a case when we went to Mount Hope, and when she was diagnosed with ovarian, and I had to step in as a take off that sister hat and put on my physician hat and get things done.
Right.
And I thank God that I was able to do so, or else she would have died even an entire year prematurely.
Definitely.
So it had times where I had to know how to, mommy, it taught me how to switch that cap on and off. So
And if
with TJ, I was a lot better at doing it.
and if there was one message you wanted to give an individual or a family going through the same thing right now, what would that message be before we go?
Right. So that message very quickly would be, get counseling. That's the most important thing, honestly. Even as a physician, it was very high, especially as a physician, I would always sit down and think, what could I have done differently to make
Right.
sure that she was still here? Could I have stepped in here? Could I have sent her somewhere else? Could I, I
Yeah.
always used to question that. And it was only through the counseling that Swara provided for us that I was able to get past that guilt point and the angry phase and all these stages of grief. Counseling really does help with it. It does not take away the pain and the feeling of loss, but it helps you cope daily. It helps you be able to get up and function, do your job,
Yeah.
or go through the day without having numerous breakdowns,
And that's
without
some
feeling that.
and, and,
Mm-hmm.
and that's some great advice there. That is all the time we have for today. But I want to thank you so much for sharing your story and your experience with us, because it's not an easy thing. So with that, I want to thank you so much, Dr. Sherra Glasgow, for sharing with us this morning as we continue our conversations on breast cancer awareness here on the Now Morning Show.
Yep.